Shalom, everyone. Shalom. Welcome to the Genesis chapter study. We are on Genesis chapter 13. Hope everybody's having a blessed new month so far. We are going to get into this chapter slowly. It's a short chapter, so we want to go comb through the verses to make sure we're not leaving any important elements out. And to learn a lesson from the situation, the circumstance that Abraham is in. You know what I mean? So praise Yah. Shalom, Sister Regina. Shalom, everybody watching. Good to have you guys here. All right. All right. Let's get into these verses. We are on Genesis chapter 13. Starting from verse 1. It says, Shalom, brother emissary. It says here, Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him, and they went further south. Right? Now, what happened in the last chapter? In the last chapter, he went to, I believe he went to Gerar. He went to Egypt. And this is the first instance in which he said Sarai was his sister. All right. Blessed renewed moon as well, brother. So he went in, he lied because of his fear. And Yah told the Pharaoh to give him back his wife. And that's what we have him now. We have him leaving Egypt after he retrieved his wife back. And so now we're in chapter 13, and it says that he left Egypt, him and his wife and Lot, and they went further south. Shalom, Sister Paula. Shalom, Brother John. It says, Abram was rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. Abraham was rich. He went on his journeys from the south, even to Bethel, unto the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Hai. I got to remind you guys, we did discuss this a while back about the narration. All right. So the narration, Bethel does not exist during the time of Abraham, but it does exist during the time of the people narrating, Moses and Israel. Okay. Bethel exists. I believe Bethel exists because Jacob named the place Bethel. Let me see if I can find it real quick. All right, so look at this. Jacob has a dream, and look what he says in Genesis 28. Jacob rose up early in the morning. He took the stone that he put as his pillows. He set up a pillar, poured oil on top of it, and he called the name of that place Bethel. It was Jacob that named that place Bethel. Abraham did not know a place named Bethel. All right. But the narrators is telling Israel about things that's familiar in the story so they can recognize what they're talking about, right? The location. They're trying to understand geographically where Abraham is walking to, where he's traveling to. And so when he says he went on his journey from the south even to Bethel, the Israelites understood at like approximately what location that was in. So this is pretty cool because these are real places that they're walking through this place, and they can actually see where their forefathers went and what they set up and what they encountered. You see what I'm saying? So this history is being given to the Israelites. Anybody know why? Because they were oppressed for about at least 215 years. 215 years oppressed, generations being born not knowing what their forefathers did and anything like that. 200 years is a long time, especially it doesn't take that long. For many instances, it didn't take that long for Israel to forget about Yah and not know who he is. So 215 years being oppressed away from Yah, like this history is very, very needed. So let's continue. It says here that Abraham went on a journey south even to Bethel, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning. This is where he was in the very beginning, between Bethel and Hai, unto the place of the altar, which he had made there in the beginning. And Abraham called on the name of Yahuwah. Lot also went with Abraham. Lot had flocks, herds, and tents. Tents is referring to like families, like homes, people that was with him in tents. So this is what it means by flocks, herds, and tents. It wasn't just the actual technical tent, the actual tent. It was people who dwelt in tents was with Lot as well. It says here, the land was not able to bear them because of the amount of people there were, that they might dwell together, because their substance was so great, so that they could not dwell together. There was also fighting between the herdsmen of Abraham's cattle and the herdsmen of Lot's cattle. The Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelt then in the land as well. Abraham said to Lot, let there be no fighting between us or between our people or our servants, because we are brethren. This is Abraham enduring for the unity of the faith, fighting for unity instead of, being provoked by it. It says, is not the whole land in front of you? Separate yourself, I pray you, from me. If you will take the left land, I will go right. If you depart from the right hand, then I will go left. To me, this is a beautiful perspective here. Abraham knew that Yah was the one guiding him to the place that he needed to be. He wasn't trying to do the calculations of what was the best situation, the most profitable, the most comfortable. He did not do anything like that, because he knew that Yah was leading him to the place that he needed to be. So he allowed that responsibility to be on Lot. Now, how Lot should have responded in a manner similar to Abraham's, because he loved Lot. So most likely he was teaching him about the ways of trusting in Yah, the ways that Yah wanted him to walk in. But instead, this is what happened in verse 10. Lot lifted up his eyes. He looked at the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before Yahuwah destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of Yahuwah, like the land of Egypt, as you come unto Zoar, right? So Zoar, Sodom and Gomorrah, he's looking simply at the rivers, the streams, the plush land. That's why he says it was like a garden, right? So he looked for the best possible outcome for himself, not for his uncle that raised him, not for his uncle that took him with him and protected him and guided him. And, no, he looked for the best looking thing for himself. Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan, and then he started to go east, of course, towards Sodom and Gomorrah. They separated themselves one from another. So Abraham dwelt in the land of Canaan, right? This was the land of promise. He dwelt in the land of Canaan. Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain. And he pitched his tent toward Sodom. So this is him outside of Sodom. We're going to look at the transition also as we go through the chapters. The men of Sodom were wicked sinners before Yah exceedingly. So it's interesting how you can look at something, how it's so beautiful and plush and water, and then you have the most wickedest people in that area. It says here, exceedingly. Exceedingly. The men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before Yahuwah, exceedingly. But all we saw was the outward appearance. What he judged by was how things looked. He didn't even imagine. He would have just been like, listen, I'll control my men. Let's be together. Or, no, I'm not going to choose first. You choose first. You're the one that led me. You go first. You choose the best. And he would have been blessed in this decision. You know, if Abraham would have went in that direction, things probably would have been different because Yah was with Abraham. But instead, he ended up in a place that looks beautiful, but is filled with exceedingly wicked people. Now, Yah said to Abraham, now watch this. Watch this. I want you guys to notice this. After Lot made his selfish choice, look at what Yah tells Abraham now. Yah said to Abraham, after that Lot separated from him, now lift up your eyes, look from where you are, north, south, east, west. Now remember, Lot, what did it say? Lot went east, right? Lot went east. Yah brought him to the land of Canaan. And I like how it said that he said this to Abraham after Lot left. After Lot left Abraham, then he said something very interesting to Abraham. He said, look north, look west, look east, look south, right? Look everywhere. East is where Lot went. He's telling him, look to where Lot went too. And you're about to see what he's going to say after this, right? But it's interesting. One of the things I wanted to point out is that he waited for Lot to leave. So it's interesting how, look at what he says initially, right? Let me, and this is just a thought. I'm not really like gung-ho with this idea, but this is just a thought. He initially told Abraham to leave his kindred and to leave his father's house. But he took his brother's son. So he didn't leave his father's house. He brought some of his kindred and his brothers and his father's from his father's house with him. So that's just interesting how he still brought his family with him. And Lot kind of brought some stress to Abraham. One, this is the first instance, and then we know about the second instance as well. So look at this, right? So now, all of a sudden, when Lot leaves Abraham, after Lot separated from Abraham, then Yah tells him, look everywhere. All the land, look, all the land that you see, I will give it to you and to your children forever. Everything that you see. Did he look east? He looked at the same thing that Lot looked at. He saw the same place that Lot saw as well. Yah waited for Lot to leave and told Abraham, look east, look west, look north, look south. Everything that you can see, I'm going to give it to you. He may have chosen to go in that direction, but I'm going to give it to you and to your children. Lot went in that direction, but the Moabites and the Ammonites come from Lot, and they didn't live there. Let's just say that. So it's interesting that Yah told him to leave his kindred, his family. He brought Lot with him. But when Lot left, that's when Yah is offering to him everything that he sees. Verse 16, it says, I will make your seed like the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, they shall number also your seed, which is impossible. I'm going to tell you something interesting about that in a second. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it and in the breadth of it, for I will give it to you. Abraham removed his tent, came and dwelt in the plain of Mamre, which is in Hebron, and built an altar unto Yahuwah. You see that? Worship, focus, prayer, covenant, talking to Yah, interaction with Yah, relationship with Yah. This is what Lot was observing, but this is not what Lot did when he made his decision. But here's an interesting point right here in verse 16. I will make your seed like the dust of the earth. That if somebody is able to count the dust of the earth, they'll be able to count your seed. Now, the interesting thing is, there's been a few times in which man was able to count the children of Israel. Moses numbered the children of Israel. David numbered the children of Israel. So it's interesting now, they were able to count the children of Israel, that the family of Israel. In the New Testament, they sent them back to their home so they can give them a census, so they can number them, so they can know where they are. So it's just interesting how the numbering of Israel occurred multiple times, but he said that nobody's going to be able to number your children. It's going to be too much. And so we have to understand, like, looking at one family, and then you're looking at the extent of Abraham's promise was that his family or his children you won't be able to number how many they are. You know what I mean? So there has to be more involved than just one family, because people were able to count this one family multiple times. So Yah's promising a bigger picture at a bigger fulfillment at another time. You know what I mean? So it's just interesting just to think about how he's describing these promises and how they technically do not apply to only Israel by themselves as a literal bloodline family, but as the people of Israel, as the house of Israel, the house of Yah, incorporating all those who are in the covenant that was offered to Abraham. So praise Yah. Recap. Lot did not at the moment he so consider the okay. I guess has some issues here, probably the cold weather. So he did not consider his uncle. Am I cutting out? Is it better now? Did it come back? Let me know if it came back properly. Did it come back properly? Okay. Praise Yah. Welcome back. All right. So just to recap, praise Yah, we went through the study. Abraham is now attempting to walk by faith. Israel is narrating the geographical location, which makes it amazing that they can track down where their forefathers walked and lived and went. Then he looks at the land. He says, I'm going to go this way. Did not care about this way at all. He did not care about Abraham's way. Abraham went this way, and Yah said, now that he didn't say now that Lot is gone. I'm assuming that part. But it did say when Lot was gone, Yah told him, look every direction. I'm going to give you all of this. I'm going to give you all of this. It's kind of as if Yah did not want Lot to be a part of this blessing that Abraham had to be a part of. It seemed like Abraham probably would have divided his inheritance with Lot. That's how much he loved him. Now he loved Lot to the point where wherever he went, he probably would have gave Lot some of it. When Yah told him, this is for your children, not for Lot. I told you to separate from your father's house. From your kindred, I told you to separate, and I will make you a nation. You see? So Abraham is so hospitable, he probably would have divided up the land for his nephew as well. You know what I mean? So when he left, that's when Yah told him, this is what I'm gonna give you. You know. So it's just interesting that situation happened first, and then a promise came right after. You know, so praise Yah. Genesis chapter 13. Praise Yah. I'm glad that in the middle of the week we're able to kind of do a little bit more together. I'm gonna see what else we can do. I hope you guys have a blessed renewed moon, that you guys repair and restore this walk with Yah. Take some time to kind of reflect on what you can do better, or what you can take out of what you've been doing last month, what you can add to what you were doing what you didn't do last month, what you can add to this month, and what you could take out so it won't be in this month's walk with Yah. You know, so I praise Yah. I pray that Yah blesses you guys. Shalom, everyone. You guys have a blessed night.